Commander Jake Morrison floated in the observation deck of the USS Meridian, watching the stars through the large window. His coffee cup stayed steady in his hand despite the ship's gentle movement through space. After 15 years of deep space missions, he had learned to find peace in the endless darkness between worlds. The research vessel had been out here for 3 months, mapping new star systems at the edge of human territory. It was quiet work, but Jake liked it that way. No politics, no crowded colonies, just him and his crew of 12 exploring places no human had ever seen before. "Commander, you need to see this." The voice belonged to Lieutenant Maya Brooks, the ship's communications officer. She sounded worried, which was unusual for Maya. Nothing ever seemed to bother her. Jake pushed off from the window and floated down to the bridge. Maya was staring at her screen with wide eyes. The other crew members had stopped their work to look at her station. "What do you have, Maya?" Jake asked as he settled into his captain's chair. "Sir, I'm picking up massive energy signatures coming from the direction of Sol. Multiple ships bigger than anything in our files." Maya's fingers moved quickly across her controls. "The signatures are unlike anything we've seen before. The energy output is off the charts." Jake felt his stomach tighten. Sol was humanity's home system, where Earth waited with its 4 billion people. "How many ships are we talking about?" "I count at least 200 vessels, sir. Maybe more. They're still coming out of what looks like some kind of jump portal." Maya turned to face him. "Commander, these ships are huge. The largest one is reading as over 5 kilometers long." The bridge fell silent except for the quiet hum of the ship's systems. Jake had never heard of any human ship larger than 800 meters. The biggest military vessels Earth had were the heavy cruisers, and those were only considered large by human standards. "Are they responding to our signals?" Jake asked. "I've been trying to reach Earth Command for the past 10 minutes, no response. Whatever these ships are, they might be blocking our communications." Maya tried her controls again. "Wait, I'm getting something. It's not from Earth." A new voice filled the bridge, speaking in perfect English but with a strange accent that made the words sound cold and empty. "Attention, primitive species of this system. You will surrender all territory and resources to the Cortani Empire. You have 72 hours to comply. Resistance will result in complete destruction." The message repeated 3 times before cutting off. Jake stared at the communications panel, trying to process what he had just heard. An alien empire was demanding humanity's surrender. After decades of searching for other intelligent life, contact had finally come, and it was not friendly. "Maya, can you get a visual on these ships?" Jake asked. "Already working on it, sir." Maya adjusted her sensors. The main screen flickered and then showed a sight that made everyone on the bridge take a sharp breath. The alien ships were massive and painted completely black, so dark they seemed to absorb the light from nearby stars. They moved in perfect formation, hundreds of them, each one bristling with weapons and strange projections that glowed with purple energy. The largest ship sat in the center of the formation like a floating city of metal and death. "My God," whispered Dr. Paul Henderson, the ship's science officer. "Look at the size of that fleet. How did they build so many massive ships?" Jake studied the alien vessels on the screen. They looked nothing like human ships, which were built for efficiency and function. These ships seemed designed to frighten anyone who saw them. Their hulls were covered in spikes and angular shapes that served no purpose except to look threatening. "Maya, are you getting any other signals from these ships?" Jake asked. "Yes, sir. They're talking to each other on multiple frequencies. I can't understand most of it, but I'm picking up some words that our computers can translate." Maya listened to her earpiece for a moment. "They're calling themselves the Corthani Empire. From what I can understand, they've conquered 17 star systems in the past month." The number hit Jake like a punch to the stomach. 17 star systems in 1 month. That meant millions, maybe billions of people had already fallen to these aliens, and now they wanted humanity to surrender without a fight. "Commander, I'm getting more information from their transmissions," Dr. Henderson said as he worked at his science station. "These Corthani didn't originate in our galaxy. They came from somewhere else, somewhere they call the Void. It sounds like they were forced to leave their original home. Forced to leave? Jake asked. By what? I'm not sure, but from what I can translate, something destroyed their entire galaxy. They're not just conquerors, they're refugees looking for a new home, but they're taking it by force instead of asking. Jake thought about this new information. If the Korthani had lost their entire galaxy, they were probably desperate. Desperate people did terrible things when they felt they had no choice, but that didn't excuse threatening to destroy humanity. Maya, keep trying to contact Earth Command. They need to know what's coming. Jake turned to his navigation officer. Set course for Sol, maximum speed. We need to get home and warn everyone. As the USS Meridian changed direction and began accelerating toward Earth, Jake watched the Korthani fleet on the screen. The alien ships were moving slowly but steadily toward the inner solar system. They seemed confident that humanity would either surrender or be easily defeated. Jake had spent his entire adult life in space, and he had learned to read situations quickly. The Korthani had superior numbers and technology, but there was something about their formation that bothered him. They moved like they expected no real resistance, as if they had never encountered an enemy that could surprise them. Commander, I'm picking up transmissions from Luna Base, Maya said suddenly. Captain Alex Turner is trying to coordinate the defense fleet, but they only have 37 ships ready for combat. 37 ships against over 200. The numbers were hopeless, but Jake knew the people of Earth wouldn't surrender without a fight. Humanity had always been stubborn that way, refusing to give up even when the odds were impossible. Dr. Henderson, keep analyzing those alien transmissions. I want to know everything we can learn about these Korthani before we reach Earth. Jake settled back in his chair and stared at the approaching alien fleet. And Maya, keep trying to reach home. Someone needs to answer, because I have a feeling this is going to be the most important message in human history. The USS Meridian raced through space toward Earth, carrying news of humanity's first contact with an alien empire. Behind them, the massive Korthani fleet continued its slow advance towards Sol, confident in their overwhelming power. But they had never encountered humans before, and they had no idea what they were really facing. The countdown to humanity's greatest test had begun, and time was running out. President Lisa Adams walked quickly down the hallway beneath the White House, her security team struggling to keep up. The emergency meeting had been called within minutes of receiving the first reports from deep space. World leaders were already gathering in the Global Defense Council chamber, their faces showing the same fear and determination that Lisa felt in her chest. The chamber was a massive room carved from solid rock, built 50 years ago when humanity first started reaching for the stars. Representatives from every major nation sat around a circular table, with holographic displays showing the approaching alien fleet in real time. Ladies and gentlemen, we have less than 60 hours before the Korthani deadline, Lisa said as she took her seat. Our defense fleet is outnumbered 6-1, and their technology appears superior to ours. We need options, and we need them now. Admiral Sam Parker, the head of Earth's Space Defense Force, stood up slowly. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes, but his voice was steady and strong. Madam President, before we discuss our response, there's something you all need to know. Something that's been classified at the highest levels for over 30 years. The room fell silent. Lisa had worked with Sam for years, and she had never seen him look so serious. Even the holographic displays seemed to dim as everyone focused on his words. In 1995, we made first contact with an alien probe near Jupiter. It was damaged and abandoned, but we recovered technology that was centuries ahead of our own. That event changed everything. Sam activated a new display that showed a timeline of secret projects. We realized that humanity was not alone, and we might not always be the ones making first contact. Lisa felt her heart skip a beat. First contact in 1995? She had been told that the Korthani were humanity's first encounter with alien intelligence. Admiral, why wasn't this information shared with the global leadership? Because we needed time to prepare, and we needed absolute secrecy, Sam replied. What I'm about to show you has been the most classified project in human history. We called it Project Titan's Crown. The holographic display changed to show what looked like an asteroid mining operation in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. Dozens of ships moved between the floating rocks, extracting minerals and building materials. It looked like a normal commercial operation that had been running for decades. "This is Mining Station Alpha 7, Sam said. Or at least that's what everyone believes it is. In reality, it's been the construction site for the largest military vessel ever built by human hands." Admiral Zara Knox, who commanded the Luna Defense platform, leaned forward in her chair. "Sam, what exactly are you telling us?" "I'm telling you that we've been building a supercarrier for the past 28 years. The UES Leviathan is 20 kilometers long, 5 kilometers wide, and capable of carrying an entire fleet inside its hull." Sam's voice grew stronger as he spoke. "It was designed using technology recovered from 6 different alien encounters that were kept secret from the public." The room erupted in whispers and shocked expressions. Lisa stared at the display, trying to understand what she was seeing. Hidden among the asteroids was the outline of something massive, something that dwarfed every other human ship ever built. "How many people know about this?" asked the Chinese representative. "Less than 500 worldwide," Sam answered. "Every person involved signed agreements that their families would be protected if they ever spoke about the project. We couldn't risk word getting out to potential enemies." Captain Rick Davis appeared on the communication screen from somewhere in space. He was a tall man with calm eyes and a confident smile. "Madam President, this is Captain Davis aboard the Leviathan. We've been monitoring the Korthani fleet since they arrived, and we're ready to activate all systems on your orders." Lisa looked at the captain on the screen. "Captain Davis, what exactly is your ship capable of?" "The Leviathan carries 12,000 fighter craft, 800 autonomous drones, and weapons systems that adapt to enemy tactics in real time. Our hull is made from self-repairing materials that can reconfigure themselves during battle." Rick's smile grew wider. "We also have some surprises that the Korthani have never encountered before." Engineer Kelly Moore joined the transmission from the ship's bridge. She was a young woman with bright eyes and grease-stained coveralls. "The ship's main power system uses controlled fusion reactions that we learned from the alien technology. We can generate more energy than the rest of the human fleet combined." Dr. Amy Foster, the ship's chief science officer, stepped into view next to Kelly. "We've also developed gravity manipulation technology based on artifacts found on Europa 12 years ago. We can create localized gravity fields strong enough to crush enemy ships or protect our own vessels." Lisa felt a mix of amazement and anger. Humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades, but the world's leaders had been kept in the dark. "Admiral Parker, why weren't we told about this sooner?" "Because we needed you to react naturally to the threat," Sam explained. "If world leaders had known about the Leviathan, someone would have wanted to use it for other purposes. Wars between human nations, resource disputes, political leverage. The ship had to remain hidden until we faced an external threat to all of humanity." Commander Steve Collins appeared on another screen, wearing a pilot's uniform that looked more advanced than anything Lisa had seen before. "Madam President, I've been training elite pilots from every human colony for the past 5 years. They thought they were preparing for routine patrol missions, but they've actually been learning to operate our new fighter systems." "How new?" asked the British representative. "Each pilot can control up to 50 drone units simultaneously through neural interface technology," Steve explained. "One human pilot becomes a squadron commander, multiplying our effective fighting force by orders of magnitude." Lisa looked around the room at the shocked faces of world leaders who were learning that their militaries had been preparing for this moment without their knowledge. "Captain Davis, how long until your ship can be ready for combat?" "We can be fully operational in 18 hours, Madam President. All we need is your authorization to begin final activation sequences." Rick's expression became serious. "The Korthani think they're facing a primitive species with limited technology. They have no idea what's waiting for them." Admiral Sam Parker stepped forward again. "There's one more thing you need to know. The Leviathan isn't our only secret. We have hidden defense platforms throughout the solar system, all connected to the main ship's tactical network. The Korthani will find that Earth's defenses are far more extensive than they appear. Lisa stood up and looked at each representative around the table. The fear in their eyes was being replaced by something else, hope, and maybe even excitement. Humanity had been preparing for this fight longer than anyone had imagined. Captain Davis, you have full authorization to activate the Leviathan and all associated systems, Lisa said clearly. Show these aliens what happens when they threaten humanity. The communication screens filled with activity as crews throughout the solar system began preparations that had been planned for decades. Hidden bases activated, secret weapons powered up, and the largest ship in human history began emerging from its disguise among the asteroids. The Korthani had no idea what was coming for them. The Korthani Supreme Void Marshal stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small human defense fleet position itself between his forces and the planet Earth. His purple eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he counted only 37 human ships against his fleet of over 200 vessels. Pathetic, he said to his officers in their harsh language. These humans have nothing but primitive metal shells. Begin the attack. Destroy their fleet first, then demand surrender from the planet. The massive Korthani ships moved forward in perfect formation, their dark hulls reflecting no light as they advanced through space. Energy weapons began charging with an ominous, purple glow that had terrified 17 different species across the galaxy. Admiral Zara Knox watched from Luna Base as the alien fleet approached. Her small defense force was spread in a defensive line, trying to protect Earth with ships that looked like toys compared to the enemy vessels. All ships, hold position, she ordered over the communication system. Make them come to us. Captain Alex Turner, commanding the heavy cruiser New York, saw the first Korthani energy beams lance out toward his ship. The purple bolts were massive, each one carrying enough power to destroy a city. Evasive maneuvers, he shouted as his ship rolled, desperately to avoid the attack. 3 human ships disappeared in brilliant explosions as the Korthani weapons found their targets. The alien fleet continued its advance, confident that the battle would be over within minutes. The Supreme Void Marshal had conquered dozens of worlds, and this looked no different from all the others. Then space itself seemed to ripple near the asteroid belt. What is that? Demanded the Korthani Supreme Marshal as his sensors detected something massive emerging from what appeared to be empty space. Captain Rick Davis stood on the bridge of the UES Leviathan as his ship's stealth systems deactivated. The massive supercarrier had been hiding among the asteroids for hours, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself. All hands, this is the captain. Today we show the galaxy what humanity can do. Leviathan, decloak and engage. The largest ship ever built by human hands appeared in space like a metal mountain coming to life. 20 kilometers long and bristling with weapons, the Leviathan dwarfed even the biggest Korthani vessels. Its hull gleamed with advanced armor that seemed to shift and change as the ship moved. The Korthani fleet stopped advancing as their sensors tried to process what they were seeing. The Supreme Void Marshal stared at the display showing the human supercarrier. Impossible. Our intelligence said they had no ships larger than 800 meters. Sir, that vessel is registering massive energy signatures, reported his tactical officer. It's larger than our entire command squadron combined. Engineer Kelly Moore worked frantically at her station aboard the Leviathan as the ship's systems came fully online. Captain, all weapon systems are active. The adaptive armor is responding perfectly, and our power core is at 100%. Launch all fighters, Rick ordered. Show them what human ingenuity looks like. The sides of the Leviathan opened like flower petals, revealing launch bays that stretched for kilometers. Thousands of small craft poured out of the supercarrier, but these weren't ordinary fighters. Each one was connected to a human pilot through advanced neural interfaces. Commander Steve Collins sat in his command chair, his mind linked to 50 different drone fighters through the neural network. Around him, other pilots controlled their own squadrons, turning each human into a one-person air force. All squadrons, engage the enemy. Show them how we fight. The Korthani watched in confusion as what appeared to be thousands of human fighters swarmed toward their fleet. Their own fighters launched to meet the attack, but they quickly realized something was wrong. The human craft moved with perfect coordination, as if controlled by a single mind. "How are they coordinating so many ships?" the Supreme Void Marshal demanded, as his forces engaged the human swarm. Dr. Amy Foster monitored the battle from her science station. "Captain, the Korthani are using standard tactical formations. Their ships aren't adapting to our attack patterns." "Then let's give them something they've never seen before," Rick replied. "Activate the gravity manipulation system. Space around." The largest Korthani ships began to bend and twist as artificial gravity fields formed around them. Several alien vessels found themselves caught in gravity wells that crushed their hulls like tin cans. Others were pulled off course, colliding with their own fleet mates. The Supreme Void Marshal felt his flagship shake as gravitational forces he didn't understand tore at his ship. "What kind of weapons are these? How are they manipulating space itself?" Admiral Zara Knox watched from Luna Base as the battle turned in humanity's favor. The small human defense fleet regrouped and began attacking the confused Korthani ships from multiple directions. "All ships concentrate fire on their command vessels. Don't let them reorganize." Captain Alex Turner brought the New York alongside, a Korthani cruiser, and opened fire with weapons that had been secretly upgraded with alien technology. The enemy ship's shields failed almost immediately as human energy beams tore through defenses designed to stop conventional weapons. Commander Steve Collins guided his drone squadrons in a complex attack pattern that the Korthani couldn't follow. His fighters would attack from one direction, then disappear and reappear somewhere else, controlled by his thoughts alone. "This is incredible," he said over the communication system. "I can see the entire battle through 50 different sets of sensors." The Korthani fleet began to fall apart as human tactics proved completely unpredictable. Ships that had conquered star systems found themselves outmaneuvered by an enemy they had thought primitive. Purple energy beams fired wildly into space, missing targets that moved in ways that defied military logic. Engineer Kelly Moore pushed the Leviathan systems beyond their design limits as the Supercarrier engaged multiple enemy ships simultaneously. "Captain, the adaptive armor is learning from their weapon signatures. We're becoming immune to their energy weapons." "Sir, we're losing ships faster than we can count them," the Korthani tactical officer reported to his Supreme Marshal. "The humans are using technology we don't understand. Their single large ship is destroying our vessels with weapons that ignore our defenses." Rick Davis watched the tactical display as red dots representing enemy ships disappeared one by one. "Target, their flagship. Let's end this." The Leviathan's main guns, powered by controlled fusion and guided by alien targeting systems, focused on the Supreme Void Marshal's command ship. The beams that lanced out were brighter than small suns, cutting through Korthani armor like paper. But just as the alien flagship began to burn, something unexpected happened. Hidden human bases throughout the solar system suddenly activated, revealing that the Leviathan was only part of Earth's defenses. Captain Alex Turner smiled as weapons platforms emerged from behind moons and asteroids, all connected to the Supercarrier's tactical network. "Surprise," he said, as the hidden bases opened fire on the remaining Korthani ships. The Supreme Void Marshal watched his mighty fleet being destroyed by an enemy he had completely underestimated. These humans weren't primitive at all. They had been planning for this battle for decades, and they fought like nothing he had ever encountered. "All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance," he ordered, his voice shaking with shock and fear. "Request immediate ceasefire. We need to talk." Commander Jake Morrison floated in the docking bay of Neutral Station Omega, a small outpost built years ago for situations exactly like this. The station sat halfway between Earth and the remains of the Korthani fleet, serving as a meeting place, where former enemies could talk without weapons pointed at each other. The Korthani Supreme Void Marshal entered the station through the opposite airlock. He was taller than Jake had expected, with purple skin and eyes that looked ancient and tired. His dark armor showed scorch marks from the recent battle, and he moved like someone who had lost everything he believed in. "I am Supreme Void Marshal Kethvar of the Korthani Empire," the alien said in perfect English. "I request to speak with your leadership about terms of surrender." Jake studied the alien commander's face. There was no anger there, only confusion, and something that looked like relief. "I'm Commander Morrison, representing Earth's government. But I don't think you understand the situation. We're not here to accept your surrender. Kethvar's purple eyes widened in surprise. Then you wish our complete destruction? Your forces have that capability now. No, Jake said quietly. We want to talk about alliance. Dr. Paul Henderson activated a holographic display that showed the space beyond their galaxy. Dark shapes moved between the stars, massive forms that seemed to consume light itself. We've been analyzing the transmissions from your fleet. We know about the entity that destroyed your original galaxy. The alien commander stared at the display, his body trembling slightly. The Devourer, it consumed everything in our home galaxy. Over the course of 50 years, entire star systems vanished into its darkness. We barely escaped with a fraction of our people. And now it's coming here, Jake said. Our long-range sensors detected the first signs 3 days ago. We estimate it will reach the Milky Way in less than 10 years. President Lisa Adams appeared on the communication screen from Earth. Marshal Kethvar, humanity offers you something that your empire has never given to others. We offer you partnership instead of conquest. The Korthani leader looked between Jake and the screen, clearly struggling to understand. Partnership? But we attacked your world. We destroyed your ships and threatened your people. Because you were afraid and desperate, Lisa replied. We understand that. But now we have a common enemy, something that threatens both our species. Together, we might have a chance to stop it. Captain Rick Davis joined the meeting via hologram from the Leviathan's bridge. Marshal, your void technology combined with our adaptive systems could create ships more powerful than either of our species could build alone. We're proposing a joint fleet to face this threat. Kethvar was quiet for several minutes, staring at the display showing the approaching darkness. Finally, he spoke in a voice barely above a whisper. For 300 years, the Korthani Empire has conquered and destroyed. We told ourselves it was necessary for survival. But it was really because we were afraid. Afraid of being weak. Afraid of being destroyed by something stronger. Fear makes people do terrible things, Jake said. But it doesn't have to define who you become. Your species defeated our entire fleet with a single ship, Kethvar continued. You could have destroyed us completely, but instead you offer alliance. This is not how empires behave. Dr. Amy Foster appeared on another communication screen from the Leviathan. Marshal, we've analyzed your ship designs and energy systems. Your void technology could revolutionize our understanding of space travel and defense. But more importantly, your people have experience fighting the Devourer. We need that knowledge. Admiral Sam Parker's voice came through the station's speakers. We're proposing the formation of the Sol Alliance. Human technology, Korthani experience, and any other species willing to stand against the darkness coming for our galaxy. Kethvar looked at Jake with something like wonder in his ancient eyes. You would trust us after we threatened your world? Trust is earned, Jake replied. But everyone deserves a chance to earn it. The question is, are you willing to try being partners instead of conquerors? The alien commander straightened his shoulders, and for the first time since entering the station, he looked like the leader of a great empire. The Korthani Empire accepts your alliance. We will share our technology and knowledge freely, and we will stand with humanity against the Devourer. 6 months later, Captain Rick Davis stood on the bridge of the newly upgraded Leviathan, watching the construction of the largest fleet in galactic history. The Supercarrier had been enhanced with Korthani void technology, making it even more powerful than before. Around it, hundreds of hybrid ships combined human adaptability with alien engineering. Engineer Kelly Moore worked alongside Korthani technicians, their purple hands and her human ones working together to build weapon systems that neither species could have created alone. The barriers between human and alien technology had dissolved as both races focused on their common goal. Commander Steve Collins trained pilots from 12 different species that had joined the Sol Alliance after witnessing humanity's victory over the Korthani. His neural interface technology had been adapted to work with alien minds, creating squadron leaders from across the galaxy. Dr. Amy Foster's gravity manipulation research had advanced dramatically with access to Corthani void science. The new weapons could create stable wormholes and bend space in ways that seemed like magic to earlier generations of scientists. Admiral Zara Knox coordinated the defense of over 40 star systems that had joined the Alliance. What had started as Earth's desperate defense had become a galactic confederation dedicated to protecting all intelligent life. The communication system activated, and Kethvar's voice filled the bridge. The former conqueror now served as the Alliance's chief strategic advisor, his knowledge of the Devourer proving invaluable in their preparations. Captain Davis, our long-range scouts have detected the first tendrils of the Devourer approaching the galactic rim. We estimate contact in 18 months. Rick nodded grimly. Are the outer defense stations ready? The Corthani void fortresses are in position, linked to your gravity manipulation network. If the Devourer breaks through, it will face defenses unlike anything it has encountered before. Lieutenant Maya Brooks, now serving aboard the Leviathan as Chief Communications Officer, looked up from her station. Sir, I'm receiving messages from species across the galaxy requesting to join the Alliance. Word of our victory over the Corthani Empire has spread. They want to fight beside us. Jake Morrison, now serving as the Alliance's diplomatic coordinator, appeared on the communication screen. Rick, we've got delegations from 57 different species arriving this week. Everyone wants to be part of the force that stopped an empire and turned enemies into allies. Rick looked out at the massive fleet surrounding the Leviathan. Human ships worked alongside Corthani vessels, their crews learning from each other and building something greater than either species could achieve alone. The sight filled him with pride and hope. The Devourer consumed an entire galaxy, Rick said to his crew. But it's never faced anything like this. It's never fought against species that chose cooperation over conquest, allies who chose to stand together instead of falling separately. The great fleet began moving toward the galactic rim, carrying with it the hopes of countless worlds. At its heart, the massive supercarrier that had once been Earth's greatest secret now served as a symbol of unity for the entire galaxy. The darkness was coming, but it would not find the Milky Way unprepared. It would face the Sol Alliance, and it would learn what happened when the galaxy stood as one.